you know that this is going to be something that people are going to want to pay attention to, and you know that this is a very unique, powerful time in the history of our country.
I don't think that a lot of folks here quite understand yet how much of a game changer it can be in terms of job opportunities for people, a chance to control our own destiny.
It's hard to imagine what the capacity can be, because it is only going to be limited by someone's imagination.
And it's just so clear to me that this is the next generation of infrastructure that successful communities need to have in place to be sustainable.
We tend to think broadband has been with us for a while, but the truth of the matter is, even as little ago as 2002, a BlackBerry was still a fruit.
So what's happened is you have this great demand for fiber. Everyone wants it, and it creates kind of a pandemonium, and everyone tries to get as much as they can, and they make the situation even worse. And so we've been really fortunate to have this relationship with this engineering group and being able to get this fiber. So even though it's sitting here today and it looks like there's a lot of it, in the next 12 to 16 weeks, it's all going to be gone. So we have roughly 5,000 potential subscribers in Cook County, and it makes up 550 to 700 miles of construction dependent upon the number of people that actually subscribe or want to take service.
Right now we're in the middle, we're about halfway in between Arrowhead Electric and Lake County. We're running Strand right now, which is the Strand is the steel messenger that the fiber rides on. Hopefully by the end of this week, starting the next week, we'll have all the Strand ran, and then we'll start laying fiber on top of it. We're in the process of building the main run from Lake County to the Arrowhead office.
We recognized it was vitally important to our long-term success at maintaining our businesses and our education system and keeping our kids here. And so those were some of the drivers for trying to find a way to get this infrastructure in place.
There's a tradition here of young people going away and getting educated, and then they want to come back. They want to raise their own kids here, but there aren't any job opportunities. And one of the fastest growing sectors in the American job market is telework, is working remotely. We will probably never have, nor would we probably want, companies here that hire workers elsewhere remotely. But there's nothing that stops people here from working anywhere in the world as long as you have broadband connectivity.
Back in 1999, I was with a group of people at the Humphrey Institute. And this was kind of towards the middle of the Jesse Ventura administration. And we were sitting around talking about this thing called broadband. Back then, about 6 to 7% of Minnesotans actually had broadband. And we were talking about different things that people would be able to do with it and, you know, how it might impact the economy, the state. And I just asked a very simple question, being the rural guy in the room, and said, well, how do you think all this is going to play out for rural Minnesota? And people just kind of thought about it for a minute and honestly said, really hadn't thought about it.
Started talking locally with a county commissioner, Paul Bergman. Paul told me he'd be on board if we could convince the rest of the Lake County commissioners, and we started looking at the numbers. Ultimately, a $70 million fiber optic project, and wanted that fiber to run to every home and business in the county, and that's what we're doing now. In early part of 2012, construction will start. The fiber will start being pulled over the lines, in the early spring, some of the fiber that needs to be buried will be getting buried. We do know that the mid-mile network, which is a network that runs in between Lake County and Two Harbors and other communities, is already in place. And then we believe by next year, this time, that there'll be many of the communities within Lake County will actually have access to the high-speed service.
There are so many resources out on the internet that are available to you, to schools or anyone really, to learn. And the capability that we have right now wouldn't necessarily allow us to use those effectively. The internet connection that we have now, if we had in this building, for example, about 700 people in here, if they all turned on a computer right now, the system would collapse. It just wouldn't function. I've lived my whole life with textbooks. Textbook adoption, textbook how do you get rid of them, what do you do with them? Well, the ink used to be toxic, you couldn't. I mean, we won't be dealing with that. It's just going to change that. So backpacks will be a thing of the past for a lot of kids. They won't need them. They'll have a tablet with them or whatever. And it changes so many things that it's hard to imagine all of the things that one piece of cable on the ground can do. It's going to.